Hello, and welcome to Fighting Fat at Home. In this podcast, we will be talking about self-talk. You know the stuff where you have silent conversation in your head. We all do it, but I would like to draw your attention to how to use it to help you battle your way to lose weight and get in shape. We all have little conversations with ourselves in our heads. Most of us don't realize this is going on because it's so natural. We have been doing it ever since we can remember. From little children to the present day, we have been talking to ourselves in our heads, and a lot of this self-talk has been negative self-talk. You know the stuff where you tell yourself, it's okay to eat that packet of biscuits, it won't harm, it's just a few bickies. What's the problem? If you're fat, yes, fat, like I used to be, then it's a big problem. It gets addictive in nature and we need to change it. Clark Bartram, bodybuilder and male model from America, defines addictive behavior as anything you feel you have no control over. That includes your self-talk. If you're talking to yourself negatively, and you feel that you cannot talk to yourself positively, then you're addicted to negative self-talk, and you need to change it. Now, we all talk to ourselves in a negative way, but most of us can correct this if we choose. For instance, if I say to myself in my head, that ice cream is yummy, then I have to give myself some opposite self-talk. In other words, talk myself out of eating the ice cream. I could just tell myself to have it later, and keep just putting it off until eventually I talk myself out of it. That's one way of doing it. There's loads of others, and that's the beauty of self-talk, is that you can customize it to yourself. What works for me might not work for you. It's only when you start to listen to your own mental conversations do you get a feel for the type of self-talk that works for you. If you want the best results from positive self-talk, it has to be as natural as possible. And the better way of talking positive to yourself is to listen to your self-talk consciously, so you can take note of how best to rephrase negative self-talk into positive self-talk. Silent conversations you have with yourself, and if it's negative, change it there and then to a more positive self-talk and get into the habit of doing this. It's only then that you will start to change yourself and your attitude towards yourself. When these changes start to take place, you will start to change your life. To help you with this change, there is a good book on the subject which is not very expensive, called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. The book's under a tenner, so pop along to Amazon. The link is below in the blog. It's a great book on the subject, well worth getting if you want to learn more on talking to yourself. It will help you to improve the way you talk to yourself. Right, I've told you about self-talk. Now, what do I really mean by self-talk? Well, I mean the stuff you're constantly telling yourself in your head. You know the talk that's always there telling you whether you're good or bad at something. The talk that tells you how good you are or how bad you are. Now, some people have very good self-talk, others not so good. But the beauty of self-talk is that you can make it what you want to make it. It's your self-talk, and you can talk to yourself in any way you want to. So why not make it good self-talking to, as opposed to a bad one? Why tell yourself you can't, when you can easily tell yourself you can? This is the whole point of self-talk, is that you can be as positive and upbeat as you like. After all, it's only your conversation. So you're allowed to tell yourself whatever you want. Another great way of using self-talk is to actually talk to yourself. Now, you can do this in one of two ways. Now, you can talk to yourself by telling yourself positive things like little affirmations and so on. Or you can have a conversation with yourself by holding both sides of the conversation. Now, I know this sounds a little bit nutty. And if other people hear you doing this, they might think you are a bit of a screwball. But it does work, and works quite well. You can't help but get more involved when you have a self-conversation. You're holding down both sides of the conversation by asking the question in the first place, And second, by answering your own questions, and that's a lot more involvement than simply saying affirmations to yourself. Don't be surprised by the type of answers you start to give yourself. You are forcing yourself to consciously think about your answers. This forces you to be more active and involved in the whole process. Just keep practicing, but make sure no one sends for the men in the little white coats with the buckles on the back. When you start having conversations with yourself, try to do it in private. That way you won't get put off by other people and their negative attitude towards your self-improvement. Oh yeah, you can use self-talk to overcome the fear or anxiety of what others might think or say about you. Self-talk is great for boosting your own self-esteem, at the same time putting the anxiety of what you think are other people's attitudes towards you into perspective. So if this little taster about self-talk has piqued your interest, then pop over to Amazon and check out the book for yourself. Read a few of the reviews to give you some more info on it. Okay folks, that's all from me for this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.